Satyam Jnanam Satyam Jnanam Jyoti Arvindam Jyoti Arvindam Jyoti Arvindam. So, there are many definitions of yoga, but the root word yoga comes from the Sanskrit yuj, which means coming together, uniting, coming together. So typically yoga is about uniting the outer consciousness with a very special part of us inside ourselves. When our outer consciousness can sense the divine presence within us and in that sense become one with it, it's called yoga. Now in traditional yogas like Rishi Patanjali's yoga, his very second yoga sutra is Yoga's Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which is yoga is union of the outer being, what we know ourselves to be, with what's inside, and it happens when thoughts stop. So this tells us that what keeps us away or not connected to this very special essence inside us is thoughts. So thoughts are like a veil on the face of this very special presence inside us. So the topic of our discussion today is mindfulness and heartfulness. Mindfulness is about looking at thoughts with the right vision so that they don't control us. Right now, the extent to which we let thoughts control us, we are dysfunctional human beings, right? Because a simple example, you're sitting happily with a group of friends and suddenly you'll remember yesterday she said this, that happened, this happened, and your whole mood goes for a toss. Nothing has changed in the environment, nothing has created the misery, but lack of control over thoughts. And I won't even say control. Thoughts don't have to be controlled. They have to be understood. They have to be seen through, really, because we take our thoughts very, very literally. A thought tells me so and so is against me. We start building narratives about it. We start feeling threatened. We start feeling small and diminished, isn't it? But at the end of the day, it's only a thought. Your thoughts don't tell you the truth about your life. They don't tell you the truth about your relationships. They just are a statement of what you've gone through in the past. It's past conditioning which will make you think like this or that. So if I was somebody who had a little bit of wisdom and that thought came that yesterday she said this, whatever, I'd be able to look at it and said, it's only a thought. I don't have to get carried away by it. See, how many times has your thought convinced you that somebody was against you and later on you discovered that actually they weren't? We've all had this experience. The mind will create its own narrative. The mind will create its own enemies, or this feeling of, oh my God, this is something to be feared tremendously. But when you actually see, there was nothing to get scared in that. So it was just your mind creating a very big thing out of nothing, right? So I had a student who had a mother who was very paranoid about her tests and exams. So and she was a good student, but the mother had extreme exam anxiety, not about herself, but about her child. So one day when the child was going to school for a maths test, she was in the 4th standard, no big deal. But her mother stood at the door and said, "I'm sure you're going to fail the test and come." And the child was so wise, she turned around and told her, she's 4th standard, maybe 9 years old. She told her mother, "Mom, you think I'm going to fail the test, but it's only a thought in your mind. I'm not going to fail it." Wisdom at that age. If we can tell ourselves that this is only a thought, a suggestion of a thought, it's not really going to happen that way, then we see what keeps us away from this very special presence inside us is disturbed thoughts and emotions, right? The extent to which we keep getting disturbed, that disturbance will keep mother away from us. Mother said it, that I could be standing right next to you, but if you're full of anxiety and fear and agitation, you close your doors to me, because these negative emotions keep the light away, right? So it's not enough, at least in my opinion, to only walk the path of bhakti and love mother. If we are here, to some extent we all love her, but that love has to be supported by wisdom. That love has to be supported a lot by working on your thoughts, by quietening your thoughts. Then the love really blossoms. So this whole process of quietening thoughts, seeing through them. See, if you're very identified with thought, you'll never be able to tell yourself, but it's only a thought. Because if you're very identified with it, the thought is too big, it controls you too much. But if you've created some kind of disidentification with thought, to that extent, the thought won't trouble you. So the first part of our talk is mindfulness. So now we come to our PDF. These are words by Stephen and Andrea Levine. Mindfulness teaches us the nature of the shadow. The shadow is our thoughts. Na? So mindfulness helps you to understand your thoughts. Mindfulness teaches us the nature of the shadow. Sorry, there's a misprint. It shouldn't be heartfulness, it's heartfulness. Heartfulness teaches us the nature of the light. So, heartfulness is about feeling the light within us. Mindfulness is about understanding the shadow of our thoughts and not letting it stand in the way of feeling the light within us. Without these two qualities in balance, we will evolve either eyeless in darkness or blinded by the light. Yeah, so we need both these to really walk the path. Now, one of the mindfulness is actually a term very endemic to Buddhism, right? Buddhism is revolving around mindfulness. And Buddhism has a practice called Zazen. Zazen simply means sitting. And if all of you can practice start with 5 minutes of Zazen every day, build it up to 12 minutes, it's a transforming practice. I'll explain why. Zazen is nothing but watching the breath. And you'll tell me, what's the big deal in watching the breath? I'd rather focus in my heart on the mother. Sure, that is the highest. But for most of you, how long can you really focus in the heart on the mother? You'll focus 2 breaths, then your mind will go somewhere else. 5 minutes you'll wander somewhere, then you'll come back. So you need some control over your thoughts even to really focus properly and deeply in the heart, isn't it? And every time you practice Zazen, you're actually rewiring your brain. You're actually accessing neuroplasticity. Let me explain why. For every recurring thought pattern, for example, if I have a recurring thought pattern that I'm always being put down, people are always negative and critical to me, and they are always doing this to me. So every time you think like this, there are neural circuits in your brain. Your brain is full of electrical pathways. So whenever you think like that, electrical impulses flow along that pathway, hardwiring that circuit. So every time you give in to this feeling, whatever it is, whether it's a feeling of jealousy, inadequacy, those circuits get more and more hardwired. The more hardwired they get, the more often you'll feel these negative emotions again and again, right? So whenever you're practicing Zazen and that thought comes up, now if you practice 12 minutes of Zazen every day, and I'm telling you from experience, you've made a relationship with your breath. Then whenever a negative thought comes, that relationship will jump to your rescue. Something in you will naturally go to your breath. And the moment you choose your breath over that negative thought pattern, they prove this scientifically. That neural pathway for that particular emotion gets weaker. And every time you don't give in to it and you feed your breath, that neural pathway gets weaker and weaker and weaker, until one day you won't feel it, and that's your liberation. See, the point is, there's no enemy outside, or most often times there's no enemy outside. But if you've gotten into the habit of seeing enemies because of your neural conditioning, you will see them and manifest them, isn't it? So it's important to work with breath awareness, because that's what will actually, a properly practiced breath awareness sit opens the doors to the light within. I would go as far as saying that you're not just watching your breath. See, you're already the light, you can't create it, but you have to find it, and what covers it is your thoughts. So let's just sit, I'll put my timer, let's just sit 3 minutes for the practice of Zazen. Just now we'll sit just 3 minutes, but it'll be wonderful if you make it a habit to put your timer, sit for 5 minutes, eventually increase it to 12 minutes. Whenever you're upset, instead of running here and there, just do 5 minutes of Zazen, then remember Mother. Sometimes when you're upset and you try to remember Mother, you can't, because every second breath your mind goes to the upset, isn't it? So it's good to get your mind under control. So first just listen. So Zazen is about watching your breath in the belly. You can put your hands on the belly if you like. You'll all notice as you inhale, the belly comes out. As you exhale, the belly goes in. Now on the exhalation, you count it as breath number 1. Second time you breathe, you count on the exhalation, you count it as breath number 2. Once you reach 10, you come back to 1. It's as simple as that, but it's not as simple as that, because what you have to do while practicing Zazen is, you'll notice that there are parallel streams of thoughts. You don't have to fight with the thoughts. You don't have to wish thoughts away, because whatever you resist will persist. You have to allow the thoughts but come back to your breath. So 3 rules of Zazen: be still, allow and come back. That's all you have to do. Okay? And remember that when you're practicing this, it's not just the breath. The breath is a gate to come closer to your truth. So I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes. Sit tall, posture is important. If it helps you to put your hands on your belly, then put it. If you can feel the breath without the palms, but in the beginning it's always nice to put the palms. Less than a minute left, keep at it. Complete this last breath and your 3 minutes are over. So maybe 3 minutes is too small, too little time, but if you do it for 5 minutes and eventually for 12 minutes, you'll see, if you're feeling restless or agitated, at the end of the 12 minutes you'll always come out feeling better. I guarantee, if you build this up. And if you do this practice regularly, it becomes part of you. See, here also when you got agitating thoughts, hopefully you remember to let it be and come back to your breath, isn't it? So you're making that neural pathway. Since you've already made it, next time in day-to-day living when an agitating thought comes, you'll see that something in you will go to your breath, because you've trained your nervous system to go to your breath rather than agitation. So it's a very, very important and useful practice to do. But if you haven't made it part of your daily practice, then when you're agitated and you go to your breath, it may or may not work, because you haven't carved that neural pathway in your nervous system. Yeah? So, to sit in Zazen is to sit without any great spiritual expectations. There is nothing to hear but the clamor of your own desires, nothing to feel but the weight of your own emotions, nothing to see but the repetitive patterns of your own ego self. You saw that, right? In these 3 minutes you experienced all this. Yet understand that it is only through the seeing of your separate self, your desires and your emotions, that you come to see into your true self, your original face. And that at the core is what Zazen is all about, to see into your true self. It's not about seeing your breath. Breath is a gate through which you see your true self. Your sitting is a practice in letting go. Why is he saying your sitting in Zazen is a practice in letting go?
Letting go of the thoughts.
Yeah, because letting go of your attachments actually, because you overthink in order to control life, right? When you don't feel safe, you overthink. When you feel you've been wronged, that thought I've been wrong goes on and on and on, because you develop an attachment to it, and you feel that till it is fixed you won't be all right. Till that person apologizes or whatever, you won't be okay. But when you sit in Zazen, you're letting go of that false conviction. You're letting go of the thought, and you're sitting actually to be with your breath. You need a lot of faith, because otherwise, if you don't have faith, you'll keep going into thoughts to solve things. But if you have faith that in this moment everything is fine, there's no excess, there's no lack, everything is perfect somewhere deep down behind your thoughts, then that faith will allow you to be with the breath. So you have to let go of your doubts, you have to let go of your thoughts. Sitting is a practice in letting go, in surrender of the self, in self-transformation. Non-thinking means not grasping at anything. No attachment to analyzing, judging, dividing, separating. That's what we are very attached to, no? Analyzing, judging, separating. But when you breathe, you're letting go of that attachment. You do not try not to think. If you do so, it is another attachment, and it becomes another striving and struggle. Do not try to repress or suppress your thoughts. Merely take note of them and gently come back to your breath awareness. There is a Zen story that illustrates the point of bare attention, not thinking and no not thinking. Once a woodcutter went to the mountains and saw a strange animal by the tree he was supposed to cut. Frightened, he immediately thought, I must kill this animal, otherwise the animal will attack me. The animal then spoke to the woodcutter and said, are you going to kill me? Having his mind read, the woodcutter got angry and thought, I wonder what I should do. This animal is strange, it's reading my mind. Immediately the animal said, now you are wondering what you should do with me. The animal seemed to be able to read the woodcutter's mind and would reflect every thought of his. Finally, the woodcutter said to himself, I will stop thinking of what to do with the animal and go on cutting wood. While he was busy cutting wood, the blade of his axe fell off and killed the animal. Like the woodcutter you are like the woodcutter struggling with your thoughts. So, this animal here was outside, but it's actually the animal of your thoughts. It will go on and on, this time telling you do this, next thought telling you do that. So, just the way the woodcutter's wisdom told him, let the animal be and you go on chopping wood. For us, what is chopping wood? What is chopping wood? What did you say? The breath. The animal of your thoughts is going on, you let it go on. But you go on chopping wood means you go on watching your breath. And when you're really watching your breath, the right action happens. The axe arises and chops off the head of the animal of your thought. You understand? It's a metaphorical story. So if you're disturbed about something and you think about the disturbance, the animal will talk both ways and it will just go on and on and on. So instead, like the woodcutter continued to chop wood, let it be and just watch your breath. The right action will come from within you, will settle your thoughts, and when you're quiet, the solution will pop into your head. I have always seen this, that what I can never figure out by thinking, if I just sit quietly when I'm least looking for it, it just comes. This is the way to do it. And that will happen to each one of us. It's not just for me. When you let be and be with your body sensations and emotions without letting yourself be carried away by fantasy, without acting out and without repression, there will arise great energy and power as well as freedom. Sit like Mount Fuji. Japanese Zen masters were fond of saying. Clouds swirl around the peak of Mount Fuji. The winds whip it incessantly, but it sits majestically, unmoving, eternal. So also sit unmoving, in quiet majesty and in great dignity. As storm clouds of thoughts, emotions, passions, fantasies rage through your consciousness, let them pass on. So it's a beautiful metaphor to visualize. You know, Mount Fuji, or for us the Himalaya, it just stands. There are so many storm clouds and thundering, all that happens, but it just stands unaffected. So when you're doing Zazen, you're sitting like that mountain. The storms of emotions, passions, attachments, they'll come and go. But you are sitting with your breath unaffected by them. The Zazen practice of self-forgetting and abiding focused on breath and body is healing and revitalizing. We have a wealth of research data. Yeah, there have been actual scientific studies to show how this simple breath awareness actually rewires your brain. And if you rewire your brain, you're rewiring your body, right? Because so many illnesses are just stuck thought patterns. If you change those thought patterns, the body is going to change. We have a wealth of research data available today that shows that any repetitive activity like breath following with passive attitude to thought is relaxing and healing, because you access neuroplasticity. When there's a repetitive activity and you're passive to it and you're with your breath, you're immediately accessing neuroplasticity. You're changing the records and conditionings in your brain patterns. When it is joined with the deep faith and trust that flow from this state of silence and stillness, it is deeply healing and holing, W-H-O-L-I-N-G. In the Zen way of just sitting, we go a step further. We enter the ground of ourself into the self mode. See, when we find a stillness, that stillness is not being created by breath, right? Breath is just air. But using the modality of the breath, you're tuning into the stillness that you already are, the self that you are, the mother that you are, whatever you choose to call it. So now this is about mindfulness, and the more you enhance the practice of mindfulness, the more easy it will be for you to be with your heart, because otherwise the mind is a big distraction. So these are MP Pandit's words. Practices of Zen or Buddhism or whatever, they kind of go deep only into this breathing, but that won't work in Sri Aurobindo's integral yoga. It's the beginning. It's important to silence your mind with the breath. And Sri Aurobindo also says, in any meditation, first use whatever method you like to at least slow down your thoughts, if not silence. Then enter the heart, then go to the overhead space, then it's a deeper connect. So now about heartfulness. Our approach to, this is MP Pandit's word from a book called Basis of Yoga. Our approach to meditation is radically different from that of many other traditional lines of yoga. Whereas systems like Raja Yoga, the yoga of knowledge and the like, insist upon not only controlling the mind but vacating the mind, emptying the mind, stopping all thoughts, this yoga and this means is integral yoga, in keeping with its character of being nature's way, demands that we don't fight with the mind but fill it with right thoughts, with proper movements. As it is, the average mind is full of restless, uncontrolled thought movements. This yoga asks that these be replaced by movements tending Godward, leading towards the soul, the psychic, towards devotion and similar positive features. Nature, it says, abhors a vacuum, and if we try to create a vacant mind, it's a very unnatural condition which cannot be kept up for long. Even regarding the object of yoga, Sri Aurobindo observes in the basis that our first aim is not to merge in the divine consciousness but to open to it. So if you go only along the path of Zazen, it leads to the Buddhist Nirvana. Nirvana, the very word Nirvana means extinction, where every point that you call you is extinguished. There's nothing that you can call you. That's merging into the divine. But in Sri Aurobindo's yoga, we don't want that. We want to open to the divine and manifest the divine in this plane rather than escaping and merging into him. So, when you want to merge, it means you cancel yourself, you dispossess yourself systematically of all thoughts, feelings, impulses that tend towards external life. You dry up the system and mercilessly force the consciousness, the personal human consciousness, to merge in the higher consciousness. It is very difficult, it is a long labor, and this is not for which we have come to birth. Nature has not built the human being after millenniums of evolution only so that he may merge in the divine. Even before the human being appeared, his soul was part of God. The object of life is not to merge but to manifest the divine in life. That means we progressively spiritualize, divinize ourselves so that the divine consciousness may express itself here on earth and life. And the first step is to be open. Now, what is it meant by being open? To be open is to have a poise of being, an attitude of mind, a composure in the whole system which is constantly turned towards the divine. So this is what Sri Aurobindo means by opening to the divine, to have a mind, body, emotional system which is constantly turned to the divine. We live, we act, but with the eye turned towards the divine, so much so that in due time nothing else except the divine consciousness, divine vibrations, divine movements find entry into us. It also means negatively that we are not open, not disposed to movements that are opposite, contrary to the divine. It is a simultaneous labor of keeping ourselves disposed to the divine consciousness, but at the same time vigilant, careful to refuse to allow movements of mind, heart, vital and physical body that stand in the way of opening. And here's where Zazen can be of great use. How to keep away the negative thoughts which aren't opening to the divine, it's very difficult. But if we form the right relationship with the breath, without our intending it, the moment an agitating thought comes, you'll start going to your breath. And then you're less distracted from focusing on the divine. So, Sri Aurobindo says the method of opening to the divine is to have a mind which is constantly thinking of the divine, constantly inviting the divine to partner you in whatever you do in life, constantly basically calling on the divine. And we are not able to do this, we are not able to be heartful because we are not mindful, because our mind is so cluttered with all our storms that there's no space for the divine. If you are mindful, you're actually creating space for the heart. When we think of her is the mother. When we pray, when we invoke, there is a response. All of us will agree that we can't refute this. Sri Aurobindo was once asked, what is this higher force, higher consciousness, the Shakti of which you speak as responding to our aspiration? Is it the general Shakti that acts in the case of all spiritual seekers, or is it something special to this yoga? Sri Aurobindo was asked this, that Shakti is a concept that's millions of years old, it's the mother. So are you talking about that Shakti in general which is available to all human beings, or is there something special in this yoga? So Sri Aurobindo's reply, yes, there is a special power, Shakti, that has descended and is working out this yoga of transformation. It is different from what acts in other lines of yoga. This special Shakti has taken the form of the mother. We all should remember that mother has said that when she was formless, when she was the Adi Shakti formless, she spent 900 years on the occult plane to create a body that could hold her force. So it's really a god's labor, a goddess's labor, if we please. For 900 years, something so powerful laboring to create this very special descent on earth, and that's our mother. So there is something very special about his yoga, and there is a very special specific descent of Shakti in his integral yoga as compared to the general Adi Shakti which acts on all things. So he said, yes, this special Shakti has taken the form of the mother. For those who take to this path, the fact that she is not now in the physical body does not mean that this Shakti, this power, has also withdrawn. It is still there, and as long as this yoga is practiced, this Shakti will continue to be active in the earth atmosphere. So we need to consciously practice yoga for this Shakti to act fully. So I think I told you this story once. Mother was in her body, and Sadhak had gone to the ashram with his family, and for Durga Puja, the wife wanted new clothes. It was a tradition for the children, and she needed 300 rupees in those days. And she kept telling her husband, but her husband said, I'm not going to ask mother. I mean, she gives us more than enough. You just deal with it, be content with what you have. And some relatives came to them just to visit the ashram just before the puja and gave them exactly 300 rupees. So this happened when mother was in her body. Now yesterday, somebody I know sent me this message that he was falling short of a certain amount, not a very big amount, a certain amount to fulfill an obligation he had to fulfill. And he was just walking and his foot hit something, and he saw there was a bundle of notes, and it was exactly the amount he needed. So it's not that when she was in the body, she was active and now she's not. She's doing exactly the same things even now. I mean, what's the chance that you're walking on the road and you just find a bundle of notes and it's the exact amount that you needed?
One would not pick up from the roadside.
That's a thought, but one would think that it's mother giving him what he needed, no? If it was exactly the amount he needed. Mother works in different ways. It's each one, somebody may not pick up, but maybe he felt really guided from within that this is mother sending you, don't say no. Then you shouldn't let the mind interfere also. Because if he doesn't pick up, some robber will pick up. No, sometimes you shouldn't turn your back on a gift horse. So, for those who take to this path, the fact that she is not now in the physical body does not mean that this Shakti, this power has also withdrawn. It is still there, and as long as this yoga is practiced, this Shakti will continue to be active in the earth atmosphere. The names of the Mother Sri Aurobindo act like a button to set it into motion. This is the secret of name. Sri Aurobindo explains in the Life Divine how the name is not just a label, not something arbitrary which we attach to anything. A name in the real sense is something that sums up in itself the quality and the power of the consciousness, of the existence which it denotes. So when we say Rama, it is the consciousness, the particular stress of consciousness that acted and was active in the avatar of Sri Rama that responds. If we take the name of Sri Krishna, it's a different consciousness, rather a different formation of consciousness, the consciousness of delight, of joy which responds. So when we repeat or think of Mother or Sri Aurobindo, it is this particular power, Yog Shakti, that responds and builds the sadhana. The Mother observes humorously that this single statement of Sri Aurobindo, that it is the Mother who does the sadhana in us, has been very much misunderstood and turned by people into an excuse to be lazy. Anyway, Mother is there. But before Mother can act, there is much for us to do. We have to keep tuned to her, we have to be open to her, we have to harness our energies to the truth that is represented by her. On our side, there are conditions to be fulfilled. Indeed, she does the sadhana, but even to fulfill these conditions, it is her help, her push is required. So this is a very beautiful story, a vignette by Shama Kumari. Shama Kumari did a fantastic job. She recorded stories of when Mother and Sri Aurobindo were alive, and she's come out with these volumes called vignettes on the Mother. This is from there. So this is a vignette titled Everything is Possible. Just before February 21st, 1970, a sadhak developed a boil the size of a beetroot on his hip at a spot which made it difficult for him to sit or lie down. Now, such a big boil the size of a beetroot, we can imagine how painful it is. But before he went to sleep, he told the Mother within, this is a great problem. If the boil remains like this, February 21st is Mother's birthday, Darshan Day. So he told her that if the boil remains like this on Darshan Day, I will have to remain in my bed without moving. With a prayer for help, he went to sleep, and something seemingly impossible happened. On waking up, he found that the boil had moved down 3 inches from its place. Can you imagine you have a boil here which makes it impossible for you to sit, and it's moved down 3 inches from its place, and he felt no pain in movement. The next day it burst open and the wound dried up. He asked the mother, "Is it possible for a boil to move like this?" She replied, "Everything is possible. Only our reasoning mind puts limits. I should congratulate you on the receptivity of your body." So the man was receptive to her force, so she could actually move the boil down. And then this is another vignette. "I do not know what she did," it's titled. B was one of the privileged few who welcomed and helped Sri Aurobindo on his arrival in Pondicherry. He and his children lived in the ambience of Sri Aurobindo and the mother, and even today his family remains closely linked with the ashram. Both B and his wife died in an accident in the 60s. His sons and grandchildren were shattered by the shock. Understandably, you lose both parents in an accident. Fear and uneasiness pervaded their days, and sleep eluded them at night. They sought warmth in togetherness, but fear would not leave them. Why would fear not leave them? What happens to you when something like you lose two parents overnight in an accident? What does it shake? It shakes your faith in life, no? You feel that if this can happen, anything can happen to me. You just stop feeling safe in life. Fear and uneasiness pervaded their days, and sleep eluded them at night. They sought warmth in togetherness, but the fear would not leave them. After the 10th day ceremony for the dead was over, Dyuman, who knew the family well, took them to the mother. B's eldest son recounts, "When we went to the mother, we were totally broken in spirit. She looked into the eyes of each of us. I do not know what she did, but such is her force that when we came out of her room, we felt normal and at ease again and could resume our normal life." So beautiful, no? That just one moment of grace like that, what she must have worked in their psyche, and so much fear was lifted off. And we don't need the mother to be physically alive. When we are feeling uneasy, we just sit before her picture, we look into her eyes, we talk to her, and we do it with faith. We are sure to feel better. And I'm sure that's been the experience of many of us. We just have to call. I'll share a personal story. There was a time years ago, I used to be very afraid of the dark, and I couldn't stay alone at night. And it so happened that my husband had to travel for 15 days, and we don't have, I was alone at home. So the first night I was terrified. My mind plays all kinds of games with me, and I thought that chalo, next day I'll call my mother to spend the night, and she would have come. But then I thought, how many nights will I keep calling people? There'll be so many nights I'll have to spend alone. And in a way, it stops you from traveling also, no? Because if you to spend alone, nights alone, and etc. So I just sat before mother in my prayer room, and I really prayed that, Mother, take away this fear. I don't want to live with this fear. And I went to sleep. Again, I'll repeat what this guy says. I don't know what she did, but I had no fear, and I've never had fear after that. I can sleep alone anywhere and anytime. So you just have to open to her and tell her, and it could be anything: fear of darkness, fear of something else, anger, jealousy, sadness. Instead of mulling with it and running here and there to feel better, why don't we take the sunlit path, the shortcut? That's what mother has done in a drawing, no? She said she did a drawing where she did this. This is starting point, this is the ending point, this is the path people take. But when you come to me, the path is this, it's the sunlit path. So this is not just the path of life, this can be the path of getting over a difficult emotional cycle. Instead of going here and there and here and there, when we are facing difficult emotions, why don't we just sit before her, speak to her, open to her, and she does her magic. So now these are lines from Savitri. Her look, her smile awoke celestial sense even in earth stuff. That's what the previous story said, right? They just, such a big tragedy, and she just looked into their eyes and they were healed for life. Otherwise, a trauma like this doesn't leave you for a lifetime. You know, losing parents overnight, it can hit you in such a way that it can traumatize you for the rest of your life. But one look from the mother and they were healed. So her look, her smile awoke celestial sense even in earth stuff, and their intense delight poured a supernal beauty on men's lives. A wide self-giving, and we see that, no, in every story we see that her intense delight poured a supernal beauty, an otherworldly beauty on men's life. A wide self-giving was her native act. She used to just give herself and give herself and give herself. If you read about her life, she used to hardly sleep. She used to, in those ashram days, sometimes at 12:30 in the night, the ashramites would collect around her and she would meditate with them, and then she would go to sleep. She'd be working, she'd rest for 2 hours. That also she'd be doing occult work. Like literally every living breath that she lived on earth, she gave to the betterment of humanity. So it's so true, a wide self-giving was her native act. A magnanimity as of sea or sky, enveloped with its greatness all that came. See, the sea is enveloping, so is the sky. The sky will be a roof over everyone. The sea will surround anyone who enters it. So the mother is like that, a magnanimity as of sea or sky, enveloped with its greatness all that came, and gave a sense as of a greatened world. When you were around her, and you're still around her, the whole world seems to have a deeper, higher, more beautiful dimension to it. Gave a sense as of a greatened world. Her kindly care was a sweet, temperate sun, not a tropical sun that burns. In the temperate regions, it's a very gentle sun. So her kindly care was a sweet, temperate sun. Her high passion, a blue heaven's equipoise. We feel we have to lose equanimity when we are passionate, but her high passion, her love for her children was a blue heaven's equipoise. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping with tired wings from a world of storms, and a quiet reach like a remembered breast, in a haven of safety and splendid, soft repose. So again, this is a beautiful metaphor. When we are troubled, we are like a hunted bird. If a hunter is after a bird and its wings are tired, it has to continue to fly, although it's very tired. So sometimes, although we are very tired, we just keep going on with life in the survival mode. But when we find the mother, we feel safe. We feel, I don't have to keep flapping my wings to survive. I can just rest my wings and she'll take care of everything. So I remember there was one lady I knew who was very troubled by various things in life. And she made her way to Pondicherry for the first time. And I remember her words. She said that for the first time I felt as if I'd found a lap on which I could, when I put my head on the samadhi, I just felt I found a lap on which I could just rest. I didn't have to keep fighting to survive. I didn't have to keep struggling. For the first time I felt I could just be. So that's what these lines are talking about. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping with tired wings from a world of storms, and a quiet reach like a remembered breast. Like a baby who remembers a breast, this is metaphorical. A mother's breast feeds the baby its nourishment, right? So you found your nourishment, a remembered breast. In a haven of safety and splendid soft repose, rest, one could drink life back in streams of honey fire, fire which is sweet. So if we've forgotten to live, when we find the mother, we learn to live again with joy. So one could drink life back in streams of honey fire, recover the lost habit of happiness, feel her bright nature's glorious ambience, and preen joy in her warmth and colors rule. A deep of compassion, a hushed sanctuary, a quiet place, the mother within us is a deep of compassion, a hushed sanctuary. Her inward help unbarred a gate in heaven. So beautiful. So that's what she did for these people who'd lost their parents. She unbarred a gate within just with a look. Her inward help unbarred a gate in heaven. Love in her was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart. So when we are talking about heartfulness, the mother says that Sri Aurobindo has written Savitri in a way to open your heart, your psychic heart, and unfurl it petal by petal. So very often you're not even concentrating in the heart, but you're just reading Savitri and you feel your heart opening. So just shut your eyes and touch the center of your chest and take your awareness into the heart center. If you like, see the mother's image there. Connect with her presence there. This beautiful line, her inward help unbarred a gate in heaven. The heaven is a state of mind, a state of joy and peace. And when we turn to Mother, she unbars this gate for us. So stay centered on her presence in your heart as I read these lines from Savitri without explanation. Her look, her smile awoke celestial sense even in earth's stuff, and their intense delight poured a supernal beauty on men's lives. A wide self-giving was her native act, a magnanimity as of sea or sky, enveloped with its greatness all that came, and gave a sense as of a greatened world. Her kindly care was a sweet, temperate sun, her high passion a blue heaven's equipoise, as might a soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping with tired wings from a world of storms, and a quiet reach like a remembered breast in a haven of safety and splendid, soft repose. One could drink life back in streams of honey fire, recover the lost habit of happiness, feel her bright nature's glorious ambience, and preen joy in her warmth and colors rule. A deep of compassion, a hushed sanctuary, her inward help, unbarred a gate in heaven. Love in her was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart. You can keep your eyes shut and continue to listen or open your eyes. The last passage from Savitri, page 313. Her heart was felt in the spaces wide and bare. When you're with the mother, you feel her presence as a heart of love. A heart was felt in the spaces wide and bare. A burning love from white spiritual founts annulled the sorrow of the ignorant depths. That was Mother's secret. Her love, which was so powerful that it could sort of absorb all our suffering. A burning love from white spiritual founts annulled the sorrow of the ignorant depths. Suffering was lost in her immortal smile. A heart was felt in the spaces wide and bare. A burning love from white spiritual founts annulled the sorrow of the ignorant depths. Suffering was lost in her immortal smile. So now, as we are sitting connected to her, if there is something that we are carrying, an emotional burden, an anxiety, instead of going in the zigzag path, the sunlit straight path, let's offer it to her. Speak to her as if she is a living presence in front of you in your heart. And as Sri Aurobindo assures us, whenever we sincerely connect with her, she always responds. Mother herself said, all sincere prayers are heard. And that line, her inward help, unbarred a gate in heaven. See if this line is true for you. Just by speaking to her, do you feel lighter? She is the most wonderful therapist we have with us 24/7. But we just don't turn to her enough. Hands together in a namaste. Take a long, slow inhalation. Breathe out with Om.